Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So behind me here I have 3 bread makers that I actually found on different occasions at different stops on garbage day. Unfortunately all 3 of them don't work, and the nice thing about these bread makers is that they are 100% scrappable. I could bring them in as is and get appliance weight price. Currently it's about 7 to 8 cents a pound Canadian, and each one of these weighs about 15 pounds. So better than nothing. However, the great thing about these is that you can make a lot more money taking the time to separate the material. There is going to be some nice aluminum inside, there's going to be some copper, and as you can see, if I put a magnet to it, this outer shell here is going to be tin. And the tin alone is going right now for about 16 cents a pound in London, Ontario. So going to make way more taking the time to separate these items. And going to do that with this one. They are very easy to do. So going to show you how to identify the material, separate it properly, and more importantly, how to maximize your profit and divert all 3 of these away from the landfill. So here we go. Going to start just by the top here. Pull that off. It was broken off, but this too, putting a magnet to it, this is going to give me tin. So 16 cents for this. On the outside, there is some plastic, but I don't have to remove this. I'm going to leave it on and get the weight for the tin. Some of my viewers, especially out east, say that they do actually get paid for plastic, bringing it in to their scrap yards, and that is a great incentive for sure, being able to keep that plastic out of the landfill. Unfortunately, here in southwestern Ontario, there is no monetary value for our plastic, so it would either have to go into the recycling or the garbage, and that all depends on your facilities that you have available, the processing plants. So glad I can leave this on and get at least the tin weight for or tin price for the weight. Inside there is always a nice bucket. This is the bucket that you put the flour in, turns the dough. Inside there is or was a little fin that would turn the dough. And if I put a magnet to this bucket, you can see that it is non-magnetic, but unfortunately there are 2 different metals on here. The bottom piece that turns the blade is a different force. This is actually cast aluminum here. There are a few screws that I'm going to have to get out. But this is either going to be non-magnetic stainless steel or aluminum. And the best way to tell is the grinder test or the spark test. If I hit this with a grinder and it sparks, it's going to be non-magnetic stainless steel. And that currently going for about 77 cents a pound. If I hit this with a grinder and it does not spark and it is non-magnetic, it's going to be aluminum, and that'll give me probably about sheet aluminum, which is about 50 to 55 cents a pound. So going to do that right now to tell or to check. Just going to put on some safety glasses here. Okay, going to hit it. So you can see that one did spark. So this is going to be stainless steel. I do have another one here just to check because they do come in different materials. So let's see this one. So this one did not spark. It too came out of a bread maker. And what I actually had to do with this one is took a grinder and actually just grinded out the bottom piece. You can see that it did pop out. So again, this is going to give me sheet or clean aluminum, 55 cents a pound. This cast aluminum right here, once I remove it, is actually going for 80 cents a pound. And as well, this, as I said, because it sparks, is going to be non-magnetic stainless steel. So you do have to check. Again, every model is different, but that is the best test, in my opinion, the spark test. So inside, just going to turn this. There is a small heating element you see here that goes around this box here. These are your same types of heating elements that come out of your ovens, as well as some of your hot plates, the burners on the stoves as well. Those are going right now for about 30 cents a pound in London, Ontario. I have actually brought in a few recently to another scrapyard in Sarnia. They actually gave me stainless steel price for it, so 77 cents a pound for that. So that was great. It does all depend on your scrapyard as well as who's doing the scales and writing the tickets. So that was great that I was able to get the stainless steel value for that. But those, again, in London are classified as heating elements and going for about 30 cents a pound. Inside, I just want to get the last screw on the bottom. So there is lots of tin on this. The bottom for sure is also tin. I'm hoping to be able to knock this face plate off or bottom plate off to see what's inside. So just gonna grab a camera, see if I can hit it off. Get a little pry bar in there. There we go. It might be connected. Yes, it is right here. The screws. You got to check the screws as well on the little fins, if you will. Those screws, I put all of them on a magnet. I have a nice big bucket, and I get tin price for those as well. Obviously, the rubber here is going to have to go into the garbage, but all of my screws worth money. And the nice thing about scrapping and screws as well is I've never had to buy bolts and nuts and screws or even nails. I find them all the time, and a lot of them are still in good workable condition. So again, another piece of tin, gonna give me the 16 cents a pound. And I will include final weights at the end in my comment section. But just gonna look on the bottom. There is a little gear here, or pulley. You can see there is also some wire here. I'm gonna start actually with this wire. I'm gonna cut it right as close as I can. There we go. I'm gonna feed it through the bottom. There is a connector, but I'm just gonna hit this first, get as much of this as I can. I will just pull from the other side after. And this wire right here, as I can look inside, there are two spools of copper wire or coated wire. And this is actually going to be classified as 60% appliance wire because there is only one coating of plastic on it. And this currently right now is going for $2.55 a pound in London, Ontario. It is different than your 40% appliance wire, your microwaves, for example, that have the thick outer coating. But in order to get the 60%, I do have to pull off the brass plug ends. So this is going to be my 60%. If I was to leave this on, I am going to get downgraded. And because I have this off already, I do also pull off my brass prongs. There you go. It's going to have some nice number 2 copper inside of it as well. That number 2 copper is going to give me $4.30 a pound. The brass here, coated brass, going to be the same category and price as my yellow brass. And that right now going for $3.15 a pound. So you want to make sure you remove the plug ends. Very easy to do. I do also have another video showing you how to remove different types of plug ends if you need to use plug end soup, for example, and best method. So I will include the link to that video as well. But some nice plug ends here. Just gonna cut this pulley just to get it off, relieve some tension. But I do want to just start removing some screws. I can see as well a nice circuit board inside of there, but I'm just going from the bottom. And I am very interested in seeing how much this motor is going to weigh. It's going to have some nice copper inside of it, but I'm going to get a lot more money for sure taking this apart. There we go, the motor just dropped. And I may have to just open this. So right here, there is a couple spots. You can see where the shell could divide or will divide. Again, just gonna get as many screws out of here as I can. There we go. So not hard to do. Some people have mentioned, why don't I use a screw or a drill? I think it's very therapeutic, relaxing, being able to do it like this, take my time, do it safely. But there we go. Now I'm gonna put some safety glasses on. Just try and pull this. There it is, that shell. So there's the shell. Just gonna get a pry bar underneath, pull that up. Okay, sometimes you can actually just slide it out. And that I think is why I need to get these screws from the top. But again, it is a little bit of time to take this out, but a lot of this is gonna be tin. So that's nice. And there is going to be a circuit board under this control. As you can see, the sticker there, it says $17.99. So not sure if this was refurbished, resold, and unfortunately it had its last leg. But again, if you have rule of scrapping, check to see if things work. You can sell things a lot better in good workable condition. And a lot of times I have actually found items that are in good workable condition. People just want to get rid of them, upgrade or change models, if you will. But okay, so there we go. Just gonna take that end off, get off the camera. There. There's my little bit of wire. This wire here is going to be different than my appliance wire. I call that low-grade wire. Just going to cut a piece of it. Okay, so there's not much copper recovery in here. I do have a bag for low-grade wire. I get about 30 to 40 cents a pound for this. So again, not much, but better than nothing. This circuit board, I do want to look at. Okay, a couple more screws. This is going to give me e-waste price. This circuit board going to probably go for about 7 cents a pound. I can't imagine much precious metals on here, but going to just quickly take a look. So you can see this does have a little bit of silver. Anytime you have these little push buttons, small bit of silver. I don't bother taking it out because it's very, very fine, very thin source or small amount. There is a IC chip that I can break off. There is a market for these online. People that micro scrap or will refine these for the precious metals inside. So very easy to do. I just cut it off. As well as this little one here. And I also have another breakdown video of depopulating boards if you're into micro scrapping. But the rest of this going to give me e-waste price, again, about 5 to 7 cents a pound. So not heavy, but it does add up. And there are different categories of circuit boards depending on what's inside. But you do want to shop around. Some scrap yards will give you only one price for all of your circuit boards, regardless of what's on them. Some of them in London, I just found a nice market, and I will get way more money for circuit boards that have gold on it. This one, unfortunately, might, because it has a little bit of silver, give me mid-grade board, but probably about 10 cents a pound in London. Not much worth the drive for 3 cents more for this, but you do want to call around with circuit boards. Okay, last couple screws here. Gonna just finally pull off. This is where having a multiple set screwdrivers is beneficial because you never know what kind of screws you're going to get. And some of them could also be from like the Allen keys, if you will. A lot of times you'll find security screws, okay? So if you're going into scrapping, you do want to invest in different types of screwdrivers and L-key sets. I often mention my security L-key set comes in handy a lot. I will show it in a second. But just want to get out my last screw, okay? Pull off another shell of tin because I want to get at that motor. But here we go, last thing. Hopefully that's the last screw. You can see it's starting to loosen. There we go. All right, so some more shell. Gonna grab my motor. Just gonna actually turn this over. Let gravity do its work, okay? And actually, I'm gonna speed this up. There we go, pulling this whole thing out. Get out these wires. So I'm just actually gonna crush this down in a second, this case. But again, nice piece of tin, very easy. It's gonna fold up in my truck. Do wanna make sure I get that wire out, but this is pretty heavy. Again, 16 cents a pound for this. Be careful, it can be sharp. But here is what I'm after. Look at this beautiful copper bearing motor. I want to check right now to see if it is copper or aluminum. If I was to bring this in as is, I'm going to get copper motor price. Currently right now going for 25 to 30 cents a pound. So better than nothing. But if this is in fact copper inside, I want to get that copper because it'll be number 2 copper. And currently that is going for $4.30 a pound. So here we go, just gonna grab out my last couple screws. I do see another nice circuit board here that you can see through my arms. That circuit board has a little bit of aluminum on it. Okay, so here we go, 2 more screws. There we go. Okay, so sometimes it can be a little bit stubborn, if you will, but so am I. There we go. And I got one more to pull out of here. I do have full breakdowns as well on different types of copper bearing motors, and I will also include the link to that one. But this right here, before I start taking it apart, I do want to check if it is aluminum. So last screw, here we go. I'm sure it'll be the hardest one to get out too. There it is. Get my better screwdriver. And this is going to be the moment of truth here. And again, I got 3 different ones here. The only way to tell is to open them because I can't tell just from looking at it. This core is very heavy. There is on the fin here, you can see a little bit of cast aluminum. I don't bother taking that out, but this looks to be copper, but only way to tell is a scratch test. And as you can see, beautiful copper underneath. If I was to scratch this and it showed a metallic look underneath, it's going to be aluminum. So I would actually just throw this right into my tin pile because I'm going to make, or sorry, my motor pile, going to make the 25 cents for it. Is going to be better than the tin price for sure. But you do want to scratch. Now that that is revealing copper, going to want the $4.30 a pound for this, and very easy to take apart. So I will include the link to that video, how to remove copper motors. I do have right here a small capacitor. This capacitor is not worth much, but there is a lot of wire that is going through. Just going to cut these zip ties. Okay, so again, some more of my 60% wire here. It all adds up. This capacitor, just actually going to throw this into my e-waste. There is not really a market for these. I do want to make sure I pull off my prongs, but going to get the 6 cents a piece for this. And there are different types of capacitors. You have the more cylindrical ones. Be careful with those ones from microwaves and other dehumidifiers and stuff. They can pack a nice charge. So you do want to make sure before you touch any type of microwave, you deactivate that charge or potential for a shock. So you do want to make sure you do that. And again, I do have videos on different capacitors as well. People have asked me what's inside of them, especially the cylindrical ones. There are some that are outer cased aluminum, some that are tin, and if there is a market for them. So again, depends on where you live, but I'm going to just quickly cut some of this wire. There is a nice transformer on here. Again, this would be a circuit board that I would get 6 to 7 cents for. Gonna make more money taking this heat sink off. This heat sink, you can see, looks like it's been put through a mold or a press. This is actually extrusion. So this is gonna give me $1.01 a pound. This transformer here, you can see just through that plastic, this is gonna have nice copper inside. If I was to bring this in, I can get transformer price, about 25 cents a pound. But again, I want that number 2 copper. The outer shell going to go into my tin. So 100% scrappable. As well, these items here, these connectors you see, this is actually copper. If I'm going to scratch that, which I will. Okay, sometimes they actually do have the color of copper on the top. Sometimes it has a metallic, but all I got to do is scratch it with a file. And you can see it reveals right there at the top. That is copper. So that is a great source of copper. There are actually also precious metals in there. People have said keep those separate to get the precious metal. I would actually just bring it in as copper. And there are some of my viewers that say some of their scrap yards do reject these because they say there's too much plastic on it. I would say to them, give them back. You are going to find a market and a buyer given the demand of copper. You know, it all depends on where you are. The other thing is something like this. I cannot throw this into my appliance wire and get my 40% even because of the plastic head. I do cut it right here at the top. This head, I have a bag of these, and in London, I get 19 cents a pound for these because there is brass inside of these. The rest of this, gonna upgrade to my 60% appliance wire. And last, as I said, this is gonna be my low-grade mixed wire. So nothing much here, but it does add up still. And once I remove the goodies on top, still gonna get the circuit board price. And the last thing here, I don't even have to take this wheel off. The heating element, I do have a couple screws inside. I may just be able to pull it right out. But I could also, there is one screw that I have to get, but right here. But this heating element, as mentioned, is gonna be about 30 cents a pound. It's not much. And because it's gonna take a little bit of grinding to open that and get out those screws, I actually could even just leave it right in here, throw this whole box here into my tin and get the 16 cents a pound because there is not much weight on that heating element or heating coil. So not worth me using a grinding disc to get at it. So that is something that I like about tin, is a lot of my tin, you can have some plastic on it, some rubber, but it will all just be tin. And again, 16 cents a pound right now, amazing price. I hope it stays at that. But tin is one of those ones that will fluctuate. It'll go from 8 cents 1 week to 12 cents. And as I said, it has been about 16 cents right now for the last week and a bit. So hopefully that stays at that. And obviously the demand drives the price high, so that's great. So again, very easy to take apart, but there are definitely a lot of goodies inside. Lots of tin. Want to get the number 2 copper. You want to check that motor for sure. As mentioned, this motor alone, well worth my time. The buckets, doing the grinder test, having to separate it. That's a very quick slice, and that would be my cast. But you do want to check your buckets. Again, aluminum, stainless steel, non-magnetic. Okay, the appliance wire, another great item for sure. And again, more importantly, another item diverted from the landfill. So I will put full weights down in my comment section. I will also include, if I do find any other crazy items in these, if all 3 of the motors were copper or not. So we'll put those in the comments. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for the continued questions and support. I try to answer them as quick as I can, as well as it gives me ideas for people for future videos. So again, bread machines, any type of scrapping, before you scrap, check to see if it works. If it doesn't, great item to take apart. And as you can see with 3 of them here, I do find them from time to time. So again, thanks for watching. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Tin Man out.